Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen. Alpha 3.6 has gone to first wave PTU, which means we can talk about the patch. It's gone to subscribers and Evocati and Concierge now as well, and it will go to even wider PTU, hopefully reasonably shortly. But let's have a look at the patch notes and feature updates for the sort of patch as it stands. There is a lot more to be added, and there's a lot more to be iterated on and fixed, obviously, but let's take a look. Woo! Firstly, and most boringly, there is a new game launcher for both live and PTU. It is a 2-in-1. You can launch both versions of the game from that launcher now. You will still need to go to the RSI website, settings section, and then copy over your account to the PTU. But once you log on to that launcher, you'll be basically logging on with your main account's password, and then literally both just select PTU from the top left from the drop down, or live based on what branch you want to play. But at the moment, 3.6.0 is PTU, and that's what we're focusing on. So let's take a look at the patch notes for the 3.6.0 initial wider PTU Wave 1 release. But please remember that this patch does not contain all intended features, which will be added at some point throughout the patch process. Some features are only partly implemented and not working properly as well. There's lots of bugs, it's PTU. In addition, not all ships are currently available, and they've given us a selection of ships to use for now in that PTU phase. So let's start with the addition of hover mode. Hover mode will automatically engage near planetary surfaces at low enough speeds, or when you're in gravity. So if you are by a landing pad, for example. When engaged, ships will swap to VTOL thrusters. Some ships literally have their engines rotate downwards. When in hover mode, the ship will hover level until the player gives an input. You can pitch forward or backwards. That will result in moving forward and backwards. And roll will result in lateral movement. If the ship attains enough forward velocity, it will automatically switch to rear thrust and actually be driven forward in flight like the traditional standard model. It will just basically go back into that. They've added ship purchasing kiosks to ship shops around the verse. These have different ships available based on the kiosk and cover a large portion of the flyable ships in-game now. So there's a lot more choice. The prices are not final by any means. They're just randomly testing them at the moment. Well, maybe not randomly, but they're sort of like messing around with pricing. Eventually, we will have dynamic pricing, so ships will be appropriately priced. They've added visual wear to components and tweaked the parameters of the wear system. Ship weapons now have visual degradation, and the rate of normal degradation for all ship components has been increased. Degradation can accumulate through time and through specific behaviors, like being damaged or overheating the component regularly, overclocking it. There's a couple of new ships, the Kruger Intergalactic P-72 Archimedes and the revised P-52, and they've added a cargo grid to the Valkyrie of 30 SCU, so you've got one sort of level of cargo there. They've added nozzle flaps to the F-7C and the F-7CM, so the Hornet and Super Hornet. They've grouped thrusters into a power group, which can now be throttled to control thruster acceleration. Basically, we have acceleration control now effectively with that. Thruster power throttle is bound default to right alt and mouse wheel and is available in the key binding menu as well. For players to now track power throttle to thrusters, a meter of percentage power has replaced what was the hydrogen fuel meter, and hydrogen fuel has moved to a static percentage readout at the bottom of the HUD. They've reworked shield values and functionality, so this is obviously a step towards the signed distance field stuff, but it's just they wanted to tweak shields. Shields have now been reworked to add major differences between manufacturers and classifications, with the goal of providing a difference in feel and value. Size 1 shields have had their health pools readjusted and regen reworked. For Size 1, shields now stop regenerating on hit, and once a set period of time passes without further strikes, these shields will begin to regen again. The functional goal of this is to limit shield regeneration during a flight and have the shield work more to stop the enemy doing significant damage right at a fight's sort of outset. There is one exception. The ASAS manufacturer shields continuously regenerate, but have a reduced health pool. Size 2 shields work similar to how they did before, but now with more difference between manufacturers. At Size 2, there is no damage delay, low regeneration, and a large health pool. Size 3 shields have very large health pools and regeneration rates, with the goal of requiring multiple ships to work together to overcome their regen. I actually found that ships' effective health is really, really high in 3.6's PTU at the moment. They've reworked ship shields, so power settings only impact regen. They've also toned down the shield shader VFX. They've changed the shield regen delay to be per generator rather than per face. Overclocking no longer affects shield allocation rate or hardening. They've updated the HUD of the Gladius. It's got the new sort of HUD they are testing for the game in at the moment. They've decreased the hull strength of the Arrow. They've increased the hull strength of the Reliant. They've significantly increased the hull strength of the Kurtul Al, the Xi'an Scout. They've removed the ability to change paints on the Vehicle Manager app and Arena Commander Vehicle Editor, as it had applied in unintended situations. The ability to swap paints on the Aurora and the Grey Cat will be added back at a later date. They've updated the JUST quantum drives for increased durability and more distinction from the other classes. Further updates to ship weapon audio has been made. The Prospector main engine with VFX has been updated. AI hammerheads will now act like gunships and have updated flight behavior. Missiles have had their output of damage increased. They've updated the cooling of the Dragonfly and Nox thrusters to make them more usable. New ship weapons, there are the Maxox neutron repeaters. They are basically rapid-fire short to mid-range weapons found from sizes 1 to 3, and they use neutron-style damage, which has damage that increases over its range, and they are available at the Center Mass shop on ArcCorp in Area 18. They've also added some automated turrets to Grimhex. They've completed the update of rest stop exteriors and shapes, including thematic variations. So lots of more rest stops, basically variations there, lots of different types of station, the way they look. At the moment, their interiors are pretty much the same. They're sort of like sectioned out, so they fit into modules of those new, quite massive stations. But in 3.7, we will see more sort of interior variation there. They've moved Delamar further away from Crusader and into its own object container, which actually should help with performance somewhat. They've updated commodity pricing to reflect the addition of black markets and stolen goods. They've updated several locations to now use decoupled lighting for improved visual looks. They've reduced the volume of combat music and added an option to mute this music event. They've added the ability for AI pilots to strafe during passes. And actually, AI in general is a reasonable bit better. So it's sort of like, it doesn't rubber band, but it does like larger jolts of rubber band. It's more jolty than rubber bandy. AI is significantly better than before when it comes to ship combat. They actually participate from when I was playing, although they do have sort of like a very light rubber band effect. They've added Oxy and MediPen to Lawville, Tammy and Sons shops. They've updated the transit system to streamline flow and usage, so trains are now on loops with multiple trains on each line, which should reduce waiting times across the board. Elevators can now move to any pad and hangar and are no longer specifically going to a single hangar or pad. Basically, some of them are partially physicalized, some of them are teleporters, some of them literally move. You'll see the available destinations when you interact with the button in the interior of the elevator. They've added average skill level for AI pilots to increase variation. They've updated and expanded player carryable items. They've added clustering for mineable entities, which will basically see asteroids and mineable rocks sort of spawn together so that you don't have to keep on moving around. They sort of like, you'll see a large quantity of them around each other. Mineable rocks now appear in medium to large clusters, basically, rather than single rocks, and their locations have been updated to reflect that. Lighting passes on exteriors of underground facilities have been made. Various visual tweaks around Lawville have been made. They've increased refinery kiosk payout to give slightly higher yields of mined materials. Mission-wise, so they've added illegal-style delivery missions for prohibited goods and stolen goods, which all ties into the new law system. They've re-enabled ECN missions, which you'll get via your Moby class. There's various improvements to FPS-based missions as well. Talking about FPS stuff, they've added the ability to free look and activate head tracking while holding a weapon. Basically, they've decoupled your view from your where your weapon is pointing if you would like to do that. Gives you more sort of like situational awareness, I suppose. Free look in first person now operates as a hold rather than as a smart toggle. A new FPS weapon has been added, the Bearing S38 pistol. This reliable bearing sidearm features a streamlined design and lightweight polymer frame that helps to minimize recoil, and with the quick fire semi-automatic fire mode, it's easy to see why the versatile and dependable S38 has become a standard sidearm across the Empire for both citizens and law enforcement officers. Can be purchased at Centermass and Port Olisar. There's also the Klaus & Werner Lumen V or Lumen 5 SMG, a solid and dependable laser submachine gun with a reputation for durability, reliability, and accuracy. Can be purchased at Centermass and Conscientious Objects. It is fires bursts of 5 rounds. It's actually quite hard to control that sort of recoil, but it's very powerful close range. They've improved the look and feel of the character jump mechanic. They've updated ragdoll properties to improve look and feel in all situations. There's been polish to smooth out first-person turns and crouch turns. Head tracking options have been added. They've unified track IR and VoIP head tracking buttons. Video and lighting improvements have been made to comms calls as well. There are some quite major bug fixes to the 3.5.1 branch, which I'll try to summarize here as well. Missiles should now be able to be countermeasured appropriately. Lots of bug fixes with player movement and transitioning between stances. You should notice significant improvements with that. MFD's multifunction display should now work properly, and comms calls will work with them as intended. There's been improvements to the 300 series, quite significant ones, like that you shouldn't get stuck inside them anymore. There's interactions inside them. Hopefully things won't fall through them anymore. The star map and splines have been updated to avoid crashing into things when you're sort of quantum traveling. It looks like they fixed the fixed weapon bug as well for ships, and there's been fixes to the party system and join system among quite a few other little outliers as well. Bruto's face should now appear. There's loads of quality of life little improvements there too, and little bug fixes. The patch testing focus is currently on ship combat balance, so ship shields, missile damage, missile countermeasures, hover mode, and acceleration control in regards to flight, head tracking in general, the P-72 Archimedes, ship component degradation, ship purchasing, pip accuracy, and flight jitter. There are various known issues with the patch as well, some of which are listed and some of which are not. Head tracking is one of them. You're also likely to experience some instability and crashes while they're gathering data. However, I have yet to have a crash. I've had a reasonable amount of frame lag when I went to Lorville, and a bit chuggy, and obviously some of the AI are a bit sort of not rubber banding, but sort of similar to that, sort of like more jolty, but it's significantly better than it was in 3.5.1, in my opinion. ASOP terminals at Area 18 might not function correctly. The updated criminality and law system and VoIP and VoIP updates are only partially implemented at the moment, with some missing behavior and needed elements. And they're not going to be describing or taking feedback on those topics just yet. Hover mode has some impending changes and updates. They're not going to be taking feedback on that yet either. Textures will display across the visor on some helmets, and depending on the ship, sometimes when attempting to file an insurance claim, the timer will either start with a long delay or never start at all. Now, I just wanted to talk about some of my experiences in that latest 3.6.0 patch. When it comes to hover mode and sort of like medium-sized ships like the Valkyrie, I have a hell of a time landing the Valkyrie now at Lorville's landing pad, the spaceport there, Tisa Spaceport. The sort of like area it gives you to try and land in is tiny, so the ship and trying to fly in hover mode, which is still relatively new to me, is just hell. I'm sort of like half remembering the old system, so I keep on doing the wrong thing, and the ship is very small, and as soon as I get near a wall, I'm just then rotating randomly. I know they're making some updates to it, but the hover mode, it makes the ships feel a lot heavier, and it's actually pretty cool, I think, but at the moment, I have problems trying to land. I am terrible at it. The law system is partly implemented and does sort of semi-work. Basically, there's misdemeanors, and then there's sort of like UEE system-wide crimes as well, and typically misdemeanors will be different per area, different per zone that you're in. So Crusader and Hurston will have different ones. It can be like the possession of particular types of narcotics. Sometimes, as long as you're under a certain amount of narcotic on your ship, so under like 0.125 of an SCU, that's not a crime. And carrying some of the drugs on you is not a crime. But having a large quantity on your ship is. And then possession of some of them will get you a criminal rating, and possession of others won't. There's full lists in your sort of like little journal that will tell you what the laws of the UEE are, the laws of the current area that you're in are, and yeah, it's interesting. So those fines, they have to be paid off at a terminal, a kiosk in that local area of space. But yeah, so you'll get fines, you'll get criminal ratings, you'll get chased, you'll get attacked based on the crime that you are doing. And it's a pretty sensible system. I'm interested to see how they evolve it in 3.6. Obviously, it's not fully implemented yet. The new HUD for the Gladius was pretty slick, though the ship did fly a bit oddly. It felt like I had to space brake to actually slow down in all situations, and that I couldn't cruise control with the ship properly. I'm not sure if that was just a bug or just me, or maybe I put some sort of weird setting on my keyboard. It's one of the things I don't like about when they update the patches, is that basically they get rid of all my key settings, it seems, and I just have to redo them. Yeah, my first impressions of the 3.6.0 wider PTU first wave are pretty good. Not all the features are in there by any means. I'm hoping they get them phased in pretty quickly, though. Performance seemed to be pretty good. At Lawville, it actually got quite slow. There's a little bit too much camera shake. Actually, I don't want any camera shake in third person, but they seem to have implemented that. There's ways of turning it off in the options, but it doesn't seem to actually work properly. So hopefully there's something they can deal with that. Otherwise, all my cool-looking videos will all be shaky, like someone's recorded them with a hand cam. But anyway, please tell me what you think. Are you playing in the Wave 1 PTU or waiting for a later wave? Are you just waiting for it to go live? If you want me to look at any specifics of the 3.6 patch at this stage, then please tell me what you'd like me to look at in the comments below. Every month we have a ship giveaway. July is no different. We have an 890 jump to give away, donated by My Radar, who make a free weather app available for iOS, Android, and other mobile devices besides. They also have the Moons of Crusader and their services displayed in their app for Star Citizen, which is mega cool. And they are adding even more moons. Coming soon as well are the planets of Hurston and ArcCorp. Check out that app in the links below. I am still shilling for Shadow and NordVPN. So Shadow, that allows you to have a high-spec gaming and Windows 10 environment subscription service streamed to any device, old PC, laptop, phone, that sort of stuff. It's great for Star Citizen and any other modern game, and for people that want a Windows 10 sort of environment on the go. They do keep on updating their software and their hardware, so you don't have to worry about that. Also, I use NordVPN, which is a really useful VPN for security, privacy, or accessing websites more easily. It also has a lot of advantages over free VPN services, and it is still mega cheap. Use the code BoredGamer for Shadow or NordVPN to get a discount. Thank you for your continued support and love, especially from Robert Johnston, Huntress, Dalamars, Vamprist, Gear Khan, Cat Astrus Mega, Andy Green, Mill, and Snarky. You guys and girls are not just the best, but you're also my executive producers for the month of July, and you've gone beyond all possible sense financially in supporting the channel, so genuinely thank you very much. It is amazingly appreciated. If you do have any questions or ideas for content, organizations you want me to check out, or just want me to say hi to you, or you want to say hi, leave a comment below and I will try and read it and get back to you. Also, feel free to check out my Discord and my Reddit and my Facebook page and my Instagrams. I know lots of stuff down below if you're interested in any of that, but whatever, take care guys, and I'll see you in the verse.